PKA, a game that manages to dance a two-step to its own beat and holds said beat incredibly well. Everything in this game was incredibly dynamic and fun, from character interactions to the various crystals and everything in between. And yet this is another game in an illustrious position. This is the second game that'll take me more than 2 episodes to finish, along with Quest of Erendia. And so, get ready to see more of this cast in the coming seasons. So let's get this train moving then, onwards to a second closer look at PKA. The story is kept delightfully simple. You go from planet to planet helping solve everyone's problems. You know, the simple problem of the day system, similar to a Saturday morning cartoon, and I think that is the second time I've made that comparison. Where you can pick it up and put it down at any time and miss next to nothing, doubled by the quest log helping you remember your current goal. After visiting all planets, your starship is shot out of space, everyone is kidnapped except Alex and Conrad, who is off-planet, and Alex has to go through a power-up sequence to grow, and it's this moment that sparks a huge shift in the party's dynamics. Alex gets a power boost and becomes something of a heavy hitter chosen one archetype. Garn gets a technique of two-handed swordsmanship and becomes a lot more outwardly protective, and Crystal just kind of has a breakdown. She almost gives up for a bit and lets herself be digested by a cat person, and when I say that aloud, wow, that sounds very weird. The game then has you return to all previous planets to help them again, liberating them from their new overlords and opening new paths to explore. This I like. It allows you to retreat old ground, and I got stuck at like the second planet because of the dungeon, but I'll get back to that later. There's also the side story with the best character in existence, Tuna. And then the game kills her. No! Ah! Ah! Yeah, happy bunny, I was not. The story is a solid Monster of the Week formatted storyline with some interesting character development and a fun tone. I'll keep the story at a 4 out of 5 for no real reason other than it kind of just lacks the spark that some of the games that scored higher in the story have. Alex, Garn, Conrad, Leon, Claria, Kiara, Crystal, and Lynn are still roughly the same as they were last video, with some solid exceptions. Alex gets a power boost and a Chosen One status, as mentioned before. He's basically a god by this point, and he actually kind of picks up a bit of character from here in. Conrad packs up and leaves for a chunk of metal when you arrive at the metal planet, so neato, he's out of action for a bit. Crystal, as mentioned before, goes through a momentary break courtesy of the spaceship going kabang, and reaches its climax when she willingly lets herself be digested by a cat before being saved by Alex. Yay. Lynn also develops into a fierce protector at the first star, so that's neat. Really, the only axe I can grind with PKA is that Tuna isn't a secret 9th character to unlock. Like, come on, she's there! Ah! But that's really an issue on my end, and no problem with the game itself. The final party I settled on was actually a bit of a wild ball. I settled on Alex, Garn, and Lynn pretty quickly, as those three are really fun and have a lot of tactical usage, but my final party member kind of flip-flopped quite a bit between Krista, Claria, or Leon, depending on the moment. I mean, yeah, Alex and Lynn are really good heavy hitters with a lot of magic. Garn is good physically and is able to spare time to use items to keep everyone alive. And Krista, Claria, and Leon are all good multi-tools and fill niche roles very easily. The characters, despite not being nearly as much to talk about as they were prior, I'm still going to give a 5 out of 5. It's such a good and well-written group of characters that no one really feels left out unless they leave the party themselves, Conrad! The combat still feels the same as it did before. Find elemental weaknesses and slap them hard, keeping the healing flowing and inevitably win. Although there are a few more things that stand out to me now. Firstly, Garn gaining dual wield, it makes him really effective at single target damage over multiple turns as his stats get boosted by 2 weapons. Secondly, some characters have attacks that only work on some enemies have attacks that only work on specific characters. In this instance, an insta down on Lyn and another one for Conrad, I assume. And finally, the fights definitely seem to drag a bit, and the gauntlet where you're alone is utter BS. And so if you're unprepared for it like I am, you're gonna suffer a lot with it. Seriously, it's fine until you're dealing with multiple targets at once, and then there's really not much to present. I mean, yeah, the RPG mechanics are here in full force. Some jank enemy balance make things rougher to handle than probably intended, and again, there's no ninth party member. Come on, please. So I'm gonna keep combat at a 3 out of 5 where I put it originally. The game's good. It's just, once again, that rock, paper, scissors with no real good way to isolate what the weakness is definitely holds the game back a bit, at least for me. I mean, the planets just continue to be an awesome idea, but a fair few of them start to feel samey. We have Grassland Planet with a plague, Grassland Planet with patches of other elemental colors, Desolate Wasteland, Metal Planet, one I keep forgetting about, and Desolate Castle Ruins. It all feels very samey to me. But retreating the same ground with new locations and objectives is a very cool reuse of assets, even if it's unintentional for, like, the point. It just makes for a really fun jaunt through some old lands, especially with all the new crystals to explore and find, despite obvious issues with one of them. I do want to give a special moment, however, to the ruined castle. The place just feels like a desolate, destroyed, and ruined place. And the spirits floating around outside being the final words of cat people slaughtered at the hands of invaders is fucking haunting and is really damn good. So I'm gonna bump exploration up to a 4 out of 5. The environmental storytelling in places is absolutely amazing, and even without the environment to tell stories, like just exploring the locations themselves make for such a fun and unique experience, and it's just really, really nice to see a location design like this. I'm still having an absolute blast. While everything separate isn't really much to comment about, the sum of all its parts make for an incredibly good game with a lot of heart and soul put into it, which is always really nice to see. This game's lore and background runs a hell of a lot deeper than expected, and I really appreciate it. It's a fun game with a lot of content. Hell, I'm pushing 10 hours, and I'm pretty sure I'm barely over halfway through the game, so, yeah, it's gonna be a lot. So I'll stick with a 4 out of 5 for enjoyability. This gives PKA a new score of 20 out of 25, knocking it up the ladder a bit more, which is a good performance, so bravo. Alright, so the next game on the list is Creature Hunter X Plus. I'm also going to do a bit of a wildcard video at some point where I look at 3 games from all 4 platforms I've been looking at. So 3 from PS4, 3 from Switch, 3 from With, and 3 from PC. But that'll probably be after the Creature Hunter video chronographically, and I also want to do another PC video because that was really fun, and I have been finding so many more games on itch that I want to look at quite closely because I think it's just really cool. With all that said in mind, though, this video is quite a bit shorter than the others, just because there's not really a lot for me to say. PKA doesn't have much for me to really comment on outside of what I have, just because it's like a very episodic game. You know? Like, it probably makes no sense, and I'm sorry. I'll try and make the next one longer. But, yeah, that's it for me. Have a good rest of your day. Look after yourselves. Enjoy life, and I will talk to you. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.